Alright everyone, welcome to another lecture here. Today we're going to cover errors. Now errors in general are, well, they're going to happen in every single program. The general steps for everything tend to be, I want to write a program, I want it to do this. You grab some paper, you sketch out an idea of what you want. Then you actually go to code after you kind of refine that. You start writing some code. And at some point, you run into errors. And there's two major kinds of errors here. You've got your logic errors, and you get your syntax errors. Let's go syntax first here. So, syntax error is basically I wrote something wrong. I wrote something incorrectly. If you want to liken it to actual language like French or German or Mandarin, whatever, I say something incorrect. It doesn't make sense. So like instead of me saying the dog jump over the fence, the fence, dog jump over, I say it kind of in the wrong order or something like that. That would be a syntax error. Now in programming, that can be something as simple as, I'm missing a parentheses or I'm missing a quotation mark or something. I misspelled something. Usually the program itself will not run. When you try to run, it compiles and it checks to make sure the syntax is correct first. And if it isn't, well, you'll get error messages pop up. And part of learning to program is dealing with all those error messages. If you'll spend maybe 20% of your time planning what you want to do, another 20 to 30% of the time actually coding, and then the other 50 is fixing everything that you broke, or trying to figure out why this isn't working the way you think it should. So the first and easiest thing to overcome are the syntax errors. That means, I wrote something and it didn't appear like it was supposed to. So if I were to write some code, just print, for example, and I want to say, hi, and I leave off a little quote here, it's going to give me, as you can see, syntax error. I didn't actually write the whole thing properly. So print, quote, hi, quote. And if I leave off the in parentheses, well, if I'm doing the interpreter, it's going to sit here and wait for that in parentheses before it does something. If I am doing a file, then it'll probably pop up a little error message, missing in parentheses, syntax error, something along the lines of that. And what we have to do is get used to reading what those errors are, know what they mean, and then fix them. I always tell people that I am really good at finding problems in people's program because I've seen so many of them. I'm good at fixing computers because I've seen so many problems and had to fix them. When you've seen something, dozens, hundreds, thousands of times, you can pretty much instantly be like, there's your problem. Right here, you're missing a parentheses, you're missing a quote, you're missing a semicolon. But it just takes practice, like anything. So, that's syntax error. Now, logic error is a little bit harder. This is, I intend for my program to do this, and it's not. So I wrote code, and it's not doing what I expect it to do. It runs, but maybe the math isn't coming out correct. Or it's doing something in the wrong order, or it's displaying something it shouldn't. But the program works. It's just not working as intended. That would be a logic error. A good example of this would be, I want to do 5 plus 5 and I mistype something. And instead it's 5 plus 10 or 5 plus 500. I get my answer and it's way bigger than it should be because, well, the program doesn't know what I'm thinking. It knows that the syntax is correct. Now, another example might be, let's say you're playing a game and somebody coded one of the abilities wrong. So when you press a button, it just does a ridiculous amount of damage and instantly kills everybody. Not as it's supposed to. Maybe the math was wrong. It multiplied when it was supposed to add or something. That would be your logic error. And again, that's one of the harder things to find because the program doesn't tell you, like, this is where the error is, like a syntax error. You have to run it and be like, and basically think, oh, well, that's not doing what it's supposed to do. So this is why math, in particular, tends to be the logic issues here. because if you remember, we have, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right? Math is going to go in that order. And if you don't understand at least the basic kind of principle there, you may think that your program is going to output something and it outputs something completely different. That would be your logic error. So to practice this a little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to have a little project. I have some code right here, and I have royally screwed it up in several places. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here and copy and paste this into a new file, like so. Now, this code has many broken things. First thing I want to point out is there are comments saying what each line should do. There are, this should do this, this should do that. And when you run it, you're going to get some errors. So step one, right here, if you're watching this video format, pause, and try to fix the code that you've got here. Pause it, fix it. If it runs, you're good. If it doesn't, well, hit play, and in just a second, I will go through what each of the problems are here. So, pause and go. And, all right, I'm assuming you paused, did your thing. So, now, I'm going to run this just to see what happens, and it's not going to go well. It wants me to save it first, so I'll just call it test or something. Already got a test, but actually, I think I said call it error checking, so I'll call it error checking. All right, error checking. Unterminated string literal, line 32 rather. Unterminated string literal means that I have a string and it starts with a quote and it did not end with a quote. So if we come here, I might want to turn the line numbers on. There, this line here is what it's complaining about. Now, in some languages, they'll start at the top and tell you errors. This one seems to be starting at the bottom, but it's fine as long as we kind of progressively move up or down. Now it says there should be a quote here. Now if we look, I could put a quote here, and now that should fix that problem. But if we read this comment here, I should say you have finished the assignment, Jerry at the end of this, and Jerry is a variable. There's actually a variable called name2 that has Jerry in it. So in this case, I actually want this to be a variable, so I want the quote to actually be over here. So I'll run this again. And now we got an error. It says, all right, right here, line 8. Now, this right here is actually a divide by 0 error. You are not allowed to divide by 0. Now, when you look at this, I'm doing math, and this would be actually considered a logic error. This would run the program, then would actually crash because you're not allowed to divide by 0. It's one of the things that you can't do in math. So it's supposed to be divided by 10. And it's very common for someone to type up a formula and leave off a number or press an extra number. So we'll run it again. And we see, well, we got some stuff displayed here, which would be up here. We've got a problem with line 17 now, it says. Now, I'm not actually going through this line by line. I should read every little statement, because there are a couple of things here that may be a little off, but let's just double check here. Rusty. So I'm supposed to set this variable name and set its value to the string Rusty. Now, a string is not this. It's going to tell you Rusty is not defined. It thinks it's a variable. A string has quotes around it. So, Rusty. Now I'm going to pop up, since we seem to be going down the list, there is one logic error up here that is mistaken. If we look here, this is supposed to be 89, not 90. So I'm just going to go ahead and fix that. And again, very common to I could accidentally type 98 or something instead of 89. It's very common to interpose these numbers or whatever, or accidentally type a different one. We'll go down and we'll check. That's supposed to be a string Bob. It is. I is supposed to be I divided by 10. Okay, it is. This is supposed to be a variable p, and we're going to set its value to 5. Okay, perfect. We print out the value of that, I minus p. Rusty. Set a variable name, Rusty. Set a variable name to, and set its string value to Jerry. There's name 2. Print out hello. Okay, we got that. Print out the name in the name variable. Now, if I run this, we're going to get another error here. Now, NAM, it doesn't know what that is. And actually, it's giving you a little bit of a clue as to what it could be. It's supposed to be name. BIP, like that. And then we have print name2, variable print name2. So if I did this right, everything should run. Oh, we still got an issue. Let's see here. Here, if you notice, it's not colored. It's supposed to be print. We'll hit that. And we'll do it again. Whoa, there we go. We printed, we displayed things, we fixed our errors, and this is, like I said, very common in just about every program you do. You're going to write something, check it, it's going to screw up, you're going to have to fix it. Your best, I guess you can say, flow for doing this is, the worst thing you could possibly do is just write up the whole program and then run it at the end, because if you mess up something, but you've got 100 lines of code, well, now it can be messed up in a bunch of different places. So what you should do is write a couple of lines, run it, make sure that works. Write a little bit more, run it, make sure it works. If something's broken, fix it, run it, make sure it works. And just kind of systematically move your way down the project. If you need to add more stuff, well, add something in, run it, see if it works. And you're going to kind of repeat that process until basically it's done. So this is kind of your rough rundown of errors, and of course, every time we learn something new, code-wise, there's going to be a new way to mess it up. And the goal is, as I'm teaching, I usually point out, hey, here's where you're going to mess up, possibly. But you got to honestly just run face first into it a couple of times. Once you learn how to fix it, it becomes much, much easier. And that is your quick general rundown on error checking. So at this point, you would save this, and you'd want to turn it in here. That way we can check and make sure everybody's kind of made it through the lesson. So if you're in my class, you can go ahead and attach that file here, submit it. If not, well, I hope you enjoyed the video.